Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Michael Bedell, the debt-free landscaper, checking in from cold, snowy Michigan here. Wanted to reach out to you guys. There's been a lot of stir in our industry in southeast Michigan here about guys not really getting a chance to get any fall cleanups done. I see that. You know, we've only got a couple days in ourselves here at Bedell Property Management, and now the cold white snow has moved on in. Everything's coated. We got almost a half-inch down, and it's still coming. Lake effect snow through the weekend, and guys are saying, what are they gonna do? We've all this work lined up. It's not sticking to pavement, so there's no snow and salting work, and so they're literally stuck a little bit between a rock and a hard place. They've got all this work booked, but can't get out there and do it. So what do you do in these type of situations? Well, you got to have contingency plans. If you get to a point in your business where you can forecast ahead enough, an advantage of not having a whole bunch of payments on equipment is that you can squirrel some money away in a business savings account and have something there for tough times like these. Just because you don't have payments on equipment doesn't mean you don't have operating expenses. Bills for insurance, tax payments, payroll tax payments, payroll itself, all those bills still come in, still need to get paid. So it's important to, if you can, set aside some money, because if you have the ability to stay in business long enough, I guarantee you are going to run into some situations where you hit a week or two where it rains. I know some of you guys ran into that this summer. Or you hit what we're hitting here in southeast Michigan, where we're getting the 1-2 punch. We're not able to get our fall cleanups done because it's snowing, like you can see behind me. Definitely not going to get any leaves cleaned up today, and we'll see. Truth be told, the forecast for next week doesn't look much better. Highs in the mid to low 30s, lows in the 20s. So any type of precipitation, we're going to deal with frozen leaves stuck to the ground. So that's punch number one. Punch two is, and I mentioned this even on the Green Industry podcast with Paul Jameson, the salt prices are through the roof. Some guys can't even get any. I was very fortunate. I was able to get some, but I had to come up with a bunch of money early to do that. We'll talk more later at a different point in time about how you got to be careful about what you're doing with cash flow and maybe not tapping into reserves if you don't have to. But I just want to take a minute and talk to you guys about something that you're inevitably going to run into in your business here. Call it a rainy day, call it a snowy day, maybe even a snowy week or month. And what happens if you can't get all those cleanups done? Just because you've got projected income, you can't count your chickens before they're hatched. And unfortunately, we're getting a great shot at living that here in Michigan. And I'm sure other guys in our region are kind of in the same boat. It's something that, truth be told, and you guys will learn this about me, I'm a little bit of a weather nerd. I pay a bunch of money a year. My company pays a bunch of money a year to have paid weather subscription forecasting done for us. And I'm enough of a nerd that I like to read all the models myself and kind of implement what I think is going to happen. But I knew this was coming. I knew about a month ago that the cold was going to run over hard about mid-November, and then communicating and networking with others. I know I've chatted with the people up at Jobber in Edmonton, other guys out in Montana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and they've all been talking about for weeks now. They've seen snow like this. So it was all early for them. It's inevitable it's going to come early for us. Now it has. So thankfully, my company, we're not freaking out. We're raising the white flag just because the white stuff's fallen. We're able to get work done when we can, and if we're not able to get out and work for a little bit, obviously we got to get out, get it done at some point. But thankfully, I put myself in a position I'm not freaking out about some of our overhead costs that are gonna hit us here in the next month. And I just want to share that with you guys because I think that's something that all of us can handle. All of us can get to that point, even a year or two into business. That's one of the first things you should set up is a little 3 to 6 months emergency fund for your business, or at least a month or two to start. It's important in your business that you plan ahead. These things are forecastable. If you're willing to take the time to network with others and invest in technology, you can give yourself the leg up and not be so off-put by the unexpected rainy day, or at least maybe what your weather app says. Don't beat yourself up. There's going to be a sunny day in January, a sunny day in December, maybe even a whole week. We'll all be out there. We'll be taking care of things. You can get last-minute projects done. It just is what it is. You know, there's lots and lots of work left for us to do. We don't have any boxwoods burlapped. The only cleanups we've really done is on our bigger sites that get multiple cleanups a year, so there's lots for us to do, but it's okay. We're all going to get it done. All of us landscape contractors in Michigan have actually had a shortened window. We had the same type of weather persist well into April and really started the season 2 or 3 weeks late. So we've had a shortened window here in terms of our spring, summer, fall season to actually get work done and accomplish things. But you don't see me crying foul on that, and the reason is I've learned to build in money that's going to go into a savings account into our project costs. So as we're getting paid for completing jobs, or hopefully even receiving prepayment for, and we receive prepayment for all our maintenance services, and then we're receiving down payments on projects and then full payment upon completion. As we're receiving those payments, there's already money designated from each project and job that's just going right into a savings account. That way, when unexpected things come up, there's issues with workflow. I know we had a lot of rain days in the month of September that definitely prevented us from completing as much landscape work as was forecasted, and therefore our numbers for landscape installation work were down a little bit from what was projected. But we were able to make that up because we knew it was going to happen, so we were able to do some additional work in a couple different service offering areas that my company provides. And also we've got this cushion sitting there in the background, and that cushion, it's best to use when you need cash on hand situations. It's good to think of it as like a bailout money. It's sometimes you need to debate whether you want to dip into that to get future work going. That's not necessarily what that money is there for. That money is there to bail you out when you have bad weather situations, unexpected equipment issues, things that are going to set you back in your business. That money isn't necessarily there to push you forward in your business. We're going to talk more in future videos about what you need to do to go forward in business and whether it's okay to touch that money or not. So stay tuned. It's also important to emphasize having a budget. Being able to forecast where you're at in your numbers and tracking your budgets versus actuals gives you a great idea of where your costs are headed and how you're doing in terms of cash on hand versus those costs. And that'll give you an idea as to where you really stand in business. And a balance sheet will tell you how many assets you have, but that's not necessarily a liquid amount. And you're going to need a liquid amount of capital in order to pay expenses, especially when things come up in situations like this, where a lack of good weather will affect your cash flow. The last thing I'll leave you with here is don't get down and out if the weather keeps you down, messes up your workflow. Know that it happens to every other contractor. You aren't in this alone, and try and turn a negative into a positive. So take this time, go network with other contractors in your area. Now's a great time to go look at pieces of equipment, used or new, that maybe you'll take your business to the next level. You've got a little bit of time. Make sure you're caught up on bookkeeping. You don't have any outstanding invoices you need to collect on. Make sure everything's on the up and up. There's plenty of little things you can do to keep the wheel going, even if it's not out in the field making money. So don't get down and out. Don't get depressed. It happens to all of us. And in the future, You know, if this is something that impacts you big time financially, you're just gonna have to project ahead and figure out how to counteract that next time. Like I said, for my company, it's a savings account, but do whatever works best for you guys. That's just merely my suggestion. So anyway, it's getting cold out here. I'm gonna go inside, warm up, but take care. God bless you guys. We'll talk soon. Thanks.
This is fun. I like shooting this video with you. What do you think, bud? Should we shoot more videos together? You just don't like it because it's cold. Okay, if this little guy wants to hang out while we shoot the video, so that's always cool. What's up, little buddy? I'm such an animal lover.